What's up? It's your boy Donovan, and in Art Blog 26, we are starting off with my third project for my digital illustration class. For the third project and for the rest of the assignments for the digital illustration class for the rest of this session, we are able to come up with our own concepts for each illustration assignment. So if you've been watching the last few art blogs, you know that I was working on an isometric perspective drawing, and so I've decided to continue that theme with this next project. I started off in Procreate just designing a quick sketch, then I moved on into Illustrator and started bringing the isometric office to life. Rather than building all of the isometric objects from scratch, I'm using the 3D and materials function within Illustrator. The reason my objects here still look two-dimensional is because I added a black stroke to every object that I created. In the digital illustration class, we've been reading a graphic novel called Understanding Comic Books, basically just giving us a lot of useful information about comic illustration and how that can be applied in all sorts of illustration. So taking from that, I really enjoyed having the flat colors. And even though I'm using the 3D function within Illustrator, I'm not really using too much of the shading or the materials. I'm keeping everything very flat and very simple. I also limited my color palette because that's one of my favorite things to do, which is also a function of comics, especially the earlier comics, because printing in lots of different colors was expensive. Now, I haven't quite finished it. This white cube in the corner is going to end up being a copy machine if I can get that done correctly. I'm still working on that, but this is where we're at so far. I definitely have most of the base done, so I started to go in and add some of the smaller details too, like this file cabinet here, adding the actual drawers and the handles in. I also want to hang a couple things from the coat rack that's there in the corner. I added the keys on the keyboard, and I was thinking about also putting some stuff on the screens. So within the 3D and materials panel within Illustrator, they have this isometric left, isometric right, isometric top, down perspective that you can choose once you make an object from 2D to 3D. So it takes all the guesswork out of how you're supposed to design the forms within this three-dimensional or this isometric perspective. I really love how I made these Monstera leaves for the potted plant there in the corner. I don't think that they're totally correct as far as the perspective. Like, I wish they had more curve, more bend, but I still think they look really cool. And they definitely give Monstera. So this is where we're at with the isometric office illustration right now. Like I said, that white cube in the corner is going to be a copy machine once I get all the details ironed out. Next, we're going to work on some concert posters for my graphic design class. For this assignment, I chose to do a set of Steve Lacy posters because he was the last artist I saw in concert before the bad times. So I saw him in 2019 before things got really crazy, and it was an amazing show. That was also the show before he really blew up. This was for the Apollo 21 album, right before he became mainstream. So it was still very affordable to get in. It was still like a very small and intimate show in comparison to the types of shows he does now. It was just a great time to see him. Also, he brought out Raven Lenae, and Carrie Foe was DJing. So that was a cool experience, a great surprise. I will always look back on that experience fondly. It was an awesome show. And that was in Chicago in 2019. For the first assignment, we had to just use text to design our poster. We weren't allowed to use any images or any like special graphics. I may have cheated a little bit and taken from one of his posters that already existed, but I noticed that it was the shape of an S. On the actual poster, it was backwards. So I took that imagery from the promo photos for that album, cut out the shape from that couch and made that into the S, which also works not just for the S in Steve, but also as a bass guitar or a guitar shape, which he's known for playing. I was able to make that connection with the L also for the text version of the poster and turn that into the neck, I think is what it's called. I don't know instruments. And turn that into the neck of the guitar. And I like how that turned out. Because I couldn't use any images, I felt like that made for a really nice centerpiece for that image. For the second iteration of the poster, we were allowed to take images and different graphics and assets from online. So I took an image of Steve Lacy himself, and I kept that cool like S base shape. I did both of these in the same day. I didn't take too much time on them. I had to get them turned in, but I think they look okay. Be sure to come back next week to see what else we're doing in my summer courses. This has been Boy Donovan. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.